Thanks again, Ajma. My name is Amadou Kumare. I'm the M&A officer for Gambia Participates. So this survey, we did it to get an insight of voter sentiment ahead of the 2026 elections. So we did it in conjunction with CEPRES, and CEPRES is a leader in data analytics in the Gambia. So they did a fantastic job making sure that all the data is collected with the utmost scientific available, and then also making sure the data integrity is paramount to this exercise. So in light of the tight time that we have, I will just quickly give a background, and then I will move to the result of the findings. So as I mentioned before, the survey was on public perception and leadership prospect ahead of the 2026 elections. So if we think about it, opinion polls are an important tool to get a sense of the voter sentiment. So it's used worldwide, even though in the Gambia is not used often. So Gambia Participate has taken the initiative to get this survey completed so that stakeholders, especially civil society, the media, and everybody involved in the electoral process can foster dialogue and transparency of the election process. So understanding the public opinion will enable all the participants to have clean election debate that are based on evidence-based. It's evidence-based because it's based on data. And then political parties and other political actors can also use this as a strategy, right? Because it's grounded in the citizen priorities and expectations. So without further ado, I will move on to the background. So the political landscape. Basically, there is a lot of debate recently around the government performance, constitutional reforms, the potential third bid for the president. Also on the opposition side, we see that some of the established figures, especially Ousseynou Darboe, they still command a lot of loyalty, although younger people, younger leaders such as Talib Bensouda also are coming on and showing potential public support. So there were definitely some democratic gains, especially with the passage of the Access to Information Act, and which account to the credential of the government. But also there are concerns around corruptions, around economic hardship, and around governance in general. So the upcoming election in this circumstance is expected to be highly competitive, right? Leadership succession in major parties, coalition talks building up, and the rising of youth participations. So this survey initiated by Gambia Participate will try to fill in the gap of the information cycle where participants, all stakeholders can have data, evidence-based information to foster dialogue around the electoral process. So the methodology used for this sampling is built around structured questions, and we use a stratified random sampling in all constituency. So basically all 53 electoral constituency was considered, and our trained enumerator went to all of these places and randomly selected a total of 1,556 participants, ages ranging from 18 and older, so which is the electoral age group. So the questionnaire are structured questions, meaning that is either a yes, no, I don't know answer, or I agree, disagree, or not sure, right? There were no open-ended questions. So also the questions were translated in local languages so that the enumerator can get the views from people who do not speak English. So we had 48 trained enumerators that went across all 53 constituencies and gathered all the information. So they gathered this information using a computer-assisted tool, software on a tablet. The software will track their geographic location, the amount of time they spend on each interview so that somebody can just now go to the respondent and just quickly fill up the form. So the time is tracked, the geographic location is tracked, everything is tracked to make sure we have data integrity, right? This is paramount to this process because it is evidence-based and we do not want to have any bias introduced to the data. So after the data was collected, the data was thoroughly cleaned and analyzed using the Stata version 17. So we have it disaggregated by region, gender, and age group. So which present a evidence-based snapshot of the sentiment of the voter. So one thing to mention is that these interviews were collected in July 2025. So the views and sentiment are in that time frame. So some summary statistics. Gender-wise, we have 63% of the respondent being male, 37% female. The age group here, I think the 25 to 34 and 35 to 44 age group have the higher representations with 31% and 27% respectively. So we do have the 18 to 24 at 12%, the 45 to 54 at 16%, and the 55 and older at 14%. So employment wise, we have 39% unemployed, 23% say that they work in the public sector, with 24% working in the private sector, 11% in the informal sector, and around 4% in the NGO space. So education-wise, secondary and tertiary education have the big share of the pie here with 62%. 12% have completed primary school, and 26% identified as not having completed any formal schooling. So as I said earlier, it was completely balanced across all 53 constituencies, which means that naturally constituency with highest number of voter population will have the highest number of respondents. That's how the stratified sampling method was designed. So on this, I will quickly go over the results since we don't have much time. And then from there, I will open the floor up for a few questions. And then my colleague will be presenting the closing statement. Respondents believe if the president should contest for a third term bid. So 35% say yes, 55% say no, and 10% say they're not sure. So that question is related to the third term bid of the president. So we have that disaggregated by regions. So here we see that the no's are in red, so which the not sure in blue, and the yes is in dark gray. So we see that Basse, the region of Basse, has the highest yes representation in this case, in addition to Brikama. So region like Kanafing, Kerwan, and Contour have low yes in that area. So the not sure, although not representing the highest in any of the area except Contour and Masakungo, but we can see that it is pretty spread across all the region. All right. So the following question is, if the president runs for in the 2026 election, would you vote for him? So this is a conditional, right? Given that he runs, will you vote for him? So 19% say yes, 60% say no, and 20% are undecided. So when we check it by region, right, we see that, again, here in Basse, the yes are overwhelmingly winning. We go to regions like Kerwan and Contour, we can say that the no are on top there, and also Masakongo. So still have a substantial rating for undecided there too. All right, so these questions are related to opposition leadership. So if Mr. Ousseynou Darboe should contest in the elections, so we have a 28% yes, 58% no, and 13% not sure. When we look at those results by region, right, we get regions like Masakongo saying yes at 43%, Kerwan saying yes at 36%, close to a no in that region that stand at 35%. So the Kanafing is saying no at 51%, and we can see Brikama undecided at 43%, or not sure. So those are the major regional numbers there. So if Mr. Darboe contested, will you vote for him? So here again, we see that 18% say yes, 63% say no, and 18% are undecided. So by region, similar to what we have previously said, Masakongo 53% saying yes, Keruan 49% saying yes, Janjambure 44% saying yes. The no's are in Banjul, Basse, Brikama, even though in Brikama 40% of people are undecided there. All right. So now this question will be related to replacement because of the emerging of younger leaders. So if the party, UDP, were to decide on another presidential candidate, which one do they favor? So here, 44% are saying Mr. Bensouda, 13% are going for Mr. Yankuba Darboe, and 3% for 5% for Roy Malik, and 3% are orders, identifying order candidates, and 35% are unsure. So we look at those by region. So Mr. Talib in Kerwan and Kontor, and also in Janjambure, so he's leading in all of those region. So as well as in the Banjul area. So he has the majority there. So we see other candidates are spread across the region. But again, I don't know is still like people who are unsure are still getting a high representation here. Okay, so this is saying the young emerging leaders, Talib Bensouda, if he runs, regardless of party affiliation, so even though the party doesn't choose him to be the flag bearer, so if he decides to run, if people agree with that. So basically, 50% say yes, he should run, with 20% saying no, and 30% overall are saying we're not sure. So again, region-wise, so Banjul region, even though this part is not showing, so the Banjul region is a yes. Brikama is also a yes. Kantor, yes. I think here in Janjambure and Kanafing is no. So again, the not sure people are mostly in Basse and also Masakungo. All right, so this question is related to a potential coalition among the younger leaders. So a political coalition involving Bensouda, Fall, Kande. So 55% of people saying yes, they agree with that. 16% is saying no, and 29% say they're not sure. So we look at that by region. We see that the yes are in Janjambure, Kontor, Kerwan, right? And the not sure are mostly in Basse and Brikama. So this asks people if they believe that in that, like in the context of you voted or you did not, or I mean you prefer a candidate or you do not prefer a candidate, that's not the question here. The question is really getting at who do you believe stand a better chance of winning the election, right? Regarding your voting sentiment, who do you really believe? Given the political sphere, the economic situation in the country, taking into account all the things, who do you believe stand a better chance to win the election? So here, President Barrow has 31%, 18% for Mr. Talib Bensouda, 12% for Mr. Hussein Darbo, 3% for Essa Fall, 3% for Mama Kande, and 3% for others. Here again, 29% of people are undecided. So we have that by region, right? Given the different region and the different candidate who stand a better chance of of winning the contest in 2026. I think this slide should have come right after a few slides earlier, talking about the Young Leader Coalition. So in case a coalition was formed among those people, who do people believe should lead the coalition? So again here, 38% are saying Bensouda. I think earlier the approval for him was around 31%, if I'm not mistaken. So again, 38% of people are saying he should lead that coalition. And 33% are undecided. I think on the other side it was around 29% who were undecided. So close numbers. So the final slide of the result of that coalition by region. So Mr. Bensouda is winning in Banjul, Kontor, Kerouan, I believe. So the not decided, Masakunko, Basse. All right. So these are all the results that we have. Again, this study was in collaboration with CIPRES. So they have extensive experience in studies like that. And also, Gambia participates in its objectives of fostering anti-corruption, fiscal transparency, and election education. Thought this will contribute to the transparency of the upcoming elections. Because when all the stakeholders have evidence-based information, so it will foster dialogue among them. So that was the objective behind this. Now I will open the floor for questions regarding the data, and then we will close for the day. Thank you. So the political environment will contribute to the design of the question, but the questions themselves were very specific. It was no open-ended question, so the respondent either has a yes, no, I don't know, or I agree, disagree, or I'm not sure. So that was the...
Maybe if I can add to that, just a clarification. Some questions are actually close-ended, others are open-ended. Let's say, for example, who stands a better chance to win the 2026 election? You have order and undecided. So the order, you will hear people saying Yaya Jammeh. You will hear others saying Bakari Bali. You will hear others saying some other candidates that we are not even something car. So other smaller players. So those ones are open-ended. But Ahmad is right. Some of the questions are also close-ended.
So,
yeah.
you know, I'm a bit confused about the latter part between the candidates who stands a better chance, because all along, Barrow is trailing Talib in almost all the perceptions.
Yeah.
But at the end, when you ask the question, who stands a better chance of winning, Barrow seems to be having the upper hand. Slightly, but having the upper hand.
Yeah.
What is your analysis of that?
I mean, if you ask me personally, I would say I don't know, because it's what the data say, right? Because when you go to ask people about their preference, they will tell you, I like such and such, right? But if you say, right, the one you like, do you believe he will win? That's a completely different situation, right? So the person may answer differently, right? So liking something and being confident that it will fare well, that's two different type of question. I think we've seen that in the data. So people may still believe that, you know, me personally, if you ask me, I'm not gonna vote or I'm not sure, but if you ask me who will win, then I will name somebody. So I think these are those type of situation.
And in the case of the coalition, where you have Talib, Esafal, and Kande, is that question asked in the perspective of Talib standing alone or as a UDP candidate?
So I think there were twofold in that. The first one, I don't know, in few of the slide earlier, they asked if he should run regardless of party affiliation, right? You see that the public is for it. And also in the context of a coalition, also if the coalition were to be formed, because this is not a reality yet, but if the coalition were to be formed, who do you believe should lead it? Again, he's there also. So that's the view of the people on those two questions.
In addition to that as well, Umar, so what, when you ask, the respondents, right, they those that will say, okay, I think, Umar should run, but does Umar stand a better chance to win the 2026 election? They will say no. So the incumbency advantage also plays in here, right? So people will say, okay, I want Gajala to run for office, but I'm not sure whether he's going to run. Right? The same sentiment was in 2021. So the result there is not saying whether 31% or 31% of the population says that they are going to vote for Barrow. That was not the question. 31% says he stands a better chance to win given the current political environment.
Okay, so from your analysis, you made mention of 63% opposing double speed for candidacy, while 44% in support of Talib Bensouda.
Yeah, okay.
I'm just trying to analyze. I'm just trying to get from your analysis.
Yeah.
Now, what does this number suggest about the shifting dynamics in terms of Gambian politics, and the future opposition?
So, from what we've seen in the data, what I can say about that is that the public is eager to see young representation, right? So it just suggests that, right, these veterans, if I can say so, they still command a lot of loyalty, right? The data is showing that. But the data is also showing that more and more people want to see younger leaders running. So, yeah. Any other questions?
Now, who are the targets when we were, can you give us a cross-section of the people that we were targeting during the survey?
So
were there any politicians involved?
So the people that were targeted, when I show the summary statistics, right? So it's 1,556 people, right? So people of voting age, meaning 18 and above. And then we stratified it by constituency. All 53 constituencies were considered, and inside those constituencies, people were selected at random. So that's how the random stratified sampling method is applied. So you control for something, in our case is geographic location. So once you control for that, inside each strata, meaning each constituency, you would select a proportionate amount of people inside that. But the selection is purely random. So it may come out that some people will identify, but we make sure in that randomness is balanced, right? You can talk to people from all occupations, right? Some might be working in the private sector, some might be working in the public sector, some might be working for NGOs and stuff like that. So those were the groups.
How would this help in your quest to, advocate for transparency and accountability in terms of representation, in terms of addressing some of the issues that affect the public space?
Yeah. Thank you for these questions. I really appreciate this one because survey tools are not commonly used in the Gambia, but they are a great tool. We have to recognize that. It is scientifically proven that the results from polls like that, if it's done right, is reliable, right? So this can be a tool first to do more advocacy because you have an understanding, you have an insight on the public perception, right? So that tells you what the public expectations may be, right? So that's a great tool for all the stakeholders involved, right? So the media can inform people better around political debates. The civil society can do more election education, right? And even for political parties, right? So they can do their strategy around these findings, right? They know exactly from these findings where they should focus their work going forward. So this is inclusive. Everybody can find something useful in this to use. So I'm not sure, Mari, if you want to add anything to that.
I think you answered it the way it's supposed to be. Yet, as an institution, what you know.
Before we close, may I emphasize something very important, that this survey results does not in any way reflect the perception or views of Gambia Participates. It also is not intended to promote or undermine any political actor. Rather, it represents the views, the sentiments, and the emotions of Gambians. Thank you very much for coming. Your presence here today represents your critical role, the media's critical role in shaping public discourse and also informing Gambians, as well as shaping political and conversations that are important to the people. Once again, I thank you all for coming, and this brings us to the end of this gathering. See you all next time. Thank you.